Hi, I hope you guys are doing well. Just to start off for week 4, what I basically did for maths is this week is basically area and perimeter. So I showed these 3 videos. You can watch them. You can just click on the link that I will be sending through on the planning. But yeah, so basically what we did for area and perimeter, just knowing the difference between kilometers, meters, centimeters, millimeters, just knowing the difference between those, and making sure that you know 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters, 1 meter is 100 centimeters, etc. Okay, so that's basically what we covered. All right, and then we've got perimeter and area. Perimeter, remember, is the outside part of the shape. Okay, so that is basically the distance around the shape. All right, whereas the area is the whole inside of the shape, and usually that gets broken up into little blocks, and that is why we have a square meter or a centimeter that's squared or a kilometer that's squared. So that means that we're taking one side and multiplying it by another, and that is why we get meters squared, or the unit squared. Okay, so the lines that create the outside of the shape, they actually can kind of like break apart and unfold so that it creates one long line, and that's why it is one-dimensional. Whereas for area, we've got a side and another side, so we've got length and we've got breadth. So we've got a vertical and a horizontal line that gets multiplied together, and that is why it is two-dimensional. It's got 2 dimensions. Okay, so if we have to then work it out, here's basically what we need to do. So perimeter of a rectangle. So if I give you this rectangle over here, so our length is 7 and our breadth is 4. So what's going to happen now is we want to do the perimeter. That means that we are going to calculate the outside lines. Okay, so we're going to go 7. So let's start this way. 7 plus 4 plus 7 plus 4. Because we know that if the rectangle, the opposite sides are equal. That means that we've got our length plus length and breadth plus breadth. But instead of doing that, we can actually just say that we want to take the length multiplied by 2 because we've got 2 lengths. We've got one over here and we've got one at the bottom. The same with the breadth, we've got one over there and then we've got one over there. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply that by 2. So we've got 7 times 2 is 14 and 2 times 4 is 8. Add them together and we've got 22 units. So that's all the way around. So you can either do that or you can go 7 plus 4 plus 7 plus 4. Same answer. Okay, because if we have to take the shape and we have to flatten it, so we have to take the 7 and literally unfold it down to make a straight line. It will basically give you the same answer. With area, you can actually count the 7 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then how many down? 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can do that where you count all the blocks inside here. But what's going to happen if you have over 100? Are you going to count those 100 blocks? I hope not. So what's going to happen now is we are going to multiply the length by the breadth. That is just a quick way to find out what the answer is instead of counting all those millions of blocks in your shape. So we've got 7 times 4 is, so length times breadth, 7 times 4 is 28 units. So because they never told us that it is centimeters, meters, kilometers, millimeters, all those things. So we're just going to say units. Okay, so what's going to happen now is we are actually going to check it. We're going to check this answer. So In a normal test, you don't have to, but I'm just showing you that that is why we multiplying. It's just quicker instead of going and counting all those blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Do you see we get the same answer? I hope you do. So, yeah. Another thing that we did, so I can't really cover this up, I think. I haven't actually checked this part now. Oh, well. Anyways, so what we've done now is we have actually gotten questions from this online maths workbook, which is actually in the Google Drive. So we are going to convert these measurements into meters. So that's the measurements that they've given you. So for 637 millimeters, to change it to meters, we're going to have to divide by 1,000. Why do we divide by 1,000? Okay, so because meters is bigger than millimeters, we have to divide. So whenever something is bigger than that, you have to divide. Whenever something is smaller than that, then you have to multiply. So if you think of kilometers, okay, so we need to take kilometers. Kilometers are bigger than meters, right? But we're taking those kilometers and changing it into meters. So meters is actually smaller than kilometers. That means that we have to multiply. So we have to multiply our kilometer answer to get our meter answer. For the millimeters, to get to meters, millimeters are smaller than meters. So we're going to have to divide to get to meters. It's a bit confusing, I know. It's like opposites. But just try and keep in mind the table. There is, I'll show you the table now, of where the millimeters, centimeters, meters, kilometers are, and how far they are away from each other. Okay, the same with the next one. Convert these measurements into centimeters. Okay, so kilometers are bigger than centimeters. Okay, so that means we have to take our centimeters and make sure that it is more than our kilometers, if that makes sense. So if you look at our kilometers is 0.975, right? We need to make sure that it is past the comma. So we need to make sure that it is a full whole number, because it is basically, it's smaller, but if you have to, let me see if I can tell you this correctly. If it is smaller, it needs to look bigger than the biggest one, if that makes any sense to you. So the centimeters, if you look at the meters to centimeters, if you look at the one over here for the centimeters, do you see that it looks bigger in centimeters, 5,420 centimeters? You see that it looks bigger than the meters. So that's something that you need to keep in mind. So when something is bigger, it needs to look smaller, if that makes any sense to you. If not, I'll try and show you a bit later when I do the next video. Okay, so we named the polygons. Basically, oh, sorry. Basically, this has 8 sides, so you're going to count how many sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 sides, so it's an octagon and then a quadrilateral. But if you look here, there's a quadrilateral there and there. So you need to know what type of quadrilateral these are. So this one's a trapezium. This one is a rhombus or a parallelogram, because they didn't tell you which one it could be. Okay, this is a decagon because it's got 10 sides. Okay, so it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's got 10 sides. And then a heptagon or a septagon, doesn't matter which one you call it, as long as it's got ept, I guess. Then it is 7 sides, and then a triangle. Just mention what type of triangle it is, or what type of triangle it looks like at that stage. Okay, so moving on. Then the next day, what we did is I asked them to write down these questions and answer them. So you're going to write down these questions all together, and then you're going to actually attempt them. So you're going to write 4, and then you're going to write your answer. So it says the perimeter of an equilateral triangle is 60 centimeters. Okay, so you need to think of an equilateral triangle, think of what it looks like, and make sure that you basically have all those sides equals to 60 centimeters altogether. So what happens now is you actually need to write down the formula. That is the best way that you can actually get your answer. All right, so I want you to try and see if you can attempt these 7 questions for me, and I will answer you in a few minutes. So if you want, you can actually pause this video and then you can continue with it. The answers I will give to you in the next few minutes. Okay, so for the answers, for number 4, it says perimeter equals side plus side plus side. So we've got our perimeter is equal to the 3 sides of the equilateral triangle, right? So because all of our sides are the same in an equilateral triangle, we're going to say, well, we've got 3 of the same side. So from there, remember the opposite of times. So if we see here, the 3 is multiplied by the side, right? So now what we're going to do is we want to just find out the side. So we are going to divide. So do the opposite of times, which is divide. And we're going to divide the 60 by 3. So 60 divided by 3 is equal to the side that you're looking for. So the side is 20. You have to say centimeters. If you don't say centimeters, there's a problem. Okay. Number 5. Kirsten and Anton run laps around the school playground. Okay. So what happens now is that playground is rectangular, and they tell you the measurements of the sides. And they say to you, how many laps will it take for them to run a total of 1 kilometer? So you can do this 2 ways. The one way is to basically add up, or you can divide and see how many laps it's going to take. It doesn't really matter which way you want to do it, but keep in mind how many meters is in 1 kilometer, because remember they're saying to you that they have run 1 kilometer. You need to make sure that you have something as close as that as possible. So how many laps will it take? So we're going to take the perimeter, we can add them, or we can go 2 times length and 2 times breadth. Same thing, you'll get the same answer. All right, so my answer is 374.4 meters. So that's 1 lap. Okay, so for 1 lap to go, or for 1 run around, you're going to get 374. So if I take 374 and I times it by 2, what answer am I going to get? So that's now 2 laps. So if I run 2 laps around, how much am I going to get? Okay, so that's going to give me 748. So if I get 748, what do you think will I do next? Because that's now not 1 kilometer yet. So do we still keep going? How much do we keep going by? So if we have to times by 3, will it be too much or will it be too little? Think about it. Okay, so what's going to happen now is if we go down, do you see that if we go half a lap, it's going to take us to 900. So if we go a bit further, do you see that it's going to take us to 1029.6 meters? So that's over the limit, right? We need to actually get to 1000. So the closest we can do is about 7.5 laps, okay? We can't even do 7 3/4. So therefore, it will take them 2.5 laps to complete that circuit. Okay. Number 6. That's the closest answer I will accept. I don't want you to start messing with how many specific laps it's going to take, because you might take too long to figure that one out. Another thing that you can do is you can actually literally divide. But if you are struggling with your dividing skills, you might not do too well in that department. It might actually make your answer more difficult than anything else. So what you can do is you can take 1,000 and divide it by 374,4. Okay, it will give you a more accurate number, all right, of laps. So if you want to, you can actually do that. It's better if you do that on your calculator, because then you can get an accurate number. But the thing is, you won't necessarily have the calculator in your test. So you might get some answer that is close enough, but not as close as you might want it to be. So if you look here, 300, times 2,5 laps, 2.5 laps, that means it's 936. So it's very close. So the closest that you should get is make sure that if you are dividing, you should at least get over 2 laps, 2.5 laps. Your correct answer should be 2,67 laps. So just to be accurate in the way that you say it, when you are doing a math sum, rather just keep it to something simpler like this, because if you go into a weird number of laps, how would they have to measure that? So in my opinion, I would say 2.5 laps. It's a lot easier to kind of register. Okay, number 6. Find the perimeter of a regular pentagon. Pent means 5, with each side measuring 6,5. So that's a bit similar to number 4 that we did. So the perimeter is 5 times the same side. The side is that. So we're going to go 5 times that, 6,5, and then our answer is 32,5 meters. The perimeter of a regular hexagon is 108 meters. Find the length of one side. Okay, so that is the same as number 4. So they've given you the perimeter. They told you that it's hexagon. So you're going to literally do the same thing as you did number 4. And there is your answer. Okay. What I did later on is I started off with having them write this in their books. But I actually printed this out later on. Just the perimeter formulae and the area formulae. So I put them together and I made them stick it at the back of their books. So probably a better idea that you do that as well. But just read over it, make sure you understand it. So instead of adding all the sides together, we can actually just say, because all the sides are the same, we can just rather say 4 times the side. The same with a triangle. We can say that, but only if it is an equilateral triangle. If it's an isosceles triangle, we've got 2 sides that are the same, so we can actually go 2 times side plus the other side that is a different length. And if it's a scalene, it will look like this, where all the sides will be different. So you're going to basically add all the different sides together. For perimeter of a rectangle, so what we can do is we can go length plus breadth plus breadth. Or we can go, well, we've got 2 lengths, so let's just go 2 times the length and 2 times the breadth. And then you add them together. So you'll get 2 times the length plus 2 times the breadth. Or what you can do is you can actually say, let me go length plus breadth. So add the length and add the breadth together. And then multiply that answer by 2. So you can do it that way as well. Definitions, basically just going over what is the perimeter, what is a regular polygon, very important. That is what we covered in term 2. Regular polygons, when they have the same angles, so equal angles, is equiangular, and equal sides is equilateral. Lateral means sides, angular means angles. So all the angles are the same in the rectangle. I mean, in the, in the rectangle. It is true, but I'm talking about a square now, sorry. All the angles in a square are the same, so it'll be 90, 90, 90, 90. And all the angles in a triangle would be 60, 60, 60. And that all adds up to the relevant numbers. And all the sides are the same, which obviously allows for the angles to be equal. Irregular polygon, that is when they all have different sides. So for instance, a rectangle will be part of a irregular polygon, different sides and different angles on the inside. Okay, so determine the perimeter of the following regular polygons. So it's this shape over here. Perimeter is when we add all the sides together. So you can either add them all together, or we can actually just go 4 times 1,6 and get the answer. So that's for a regular polygon. But for irregular polygons, we can't now use this 4 times whatever as our new thing, even if it looks like a square. Okay, so this one looks similar to a square, but it's not, because it is a rhombus. I hope you said it's a rhombus. It's a rhombus. So basically, the angles are not straight up, so it's not 90 degrees. So that is why it is a rhombus, not a square. But all the sides are the same, so we can actually still use this one here. So we can actually still use that. But if we have to talk about the angles, they will be very different there. Okay, so just keep that in mind. It is still called an irregular polygon, even if it looks like a square. Okay, so 4 times side. Cool. Then we've got our rectangle. So we can use the 2 times length. I'm going to use this formula. Okay, so we've got 2 times length. Length is 5. There's our length. There's our breadth. 2 times 2, so it's 10 plus 4 is 14. And then the last one, because all the sides are different now, you can't use any formulas. You actually need to go side plus side plus side plus side. So it's 34, 31 plus 42 plus 21. So it's 128. But they never told me that it's centimeters, meters, whatever. So we then have to say units. Alrighty. And then we went into area. Area, we did another, let me think now. We did another thing where I explained basically the different versions of things that you'll get, so different kinds of questions. We went over them. Let me see if I can find it quickly. It is in the, I think it's an MST workbook. I'll double check. No, it wasn't there. Let me just double check. All right, so basically what happens is we went through what it will look like in your test, for instance, or sometimes just double checking what the questions will look like when you get to area and perimeter. Very simple questions, but not that difficult. I will show you in a momento. Yeah, we went over that question. Okay, so I'll show you here quickly. We did this question for perimeter. So it says, what would the perimeter of each shape be if you look at the arrows? So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4. So that will be 4 units or 4 arrows long. But if each arrow is 30 millimeters long, what is the perimeter? So now it will be 30 plus 30 plus 30 plus 30. Or you can go 4 times 30, which would be 120. Okay, same thing here. Let's do this one. So we got 1 for F. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 6 times 30. 6 times 3 is 9. No, 6 times 3 is 118. So then you add the naught, so it's 180. Okay, so it's 180 millimeters long. Okay, but it's perimeter, so it's only millimeters, eh? Alrighty, and then I don't think we did this one. No, I don't think we did that, but we did this. So yeah, we definitely did this. So I went through these questions. These are basically the questions that you had to do already. See, that's the exact same thing that we covered now. Righty, and then we went over the shapes. Oh, and then we went into area. So with area, we basically went over what it is when you have basically these blocks, and each of them is 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter long. So I basically paused this and then I asked the questions so that they could see the blocks and not see the answers. So it says, what can you say about the lengths of each side in the polygon? So if you look at the polygon, you've got, let me just show you with my spotlight. So we've got this side is 1 block here. So it's 1 and 1. And if you look here, this is also 2 blocks this way, 2 blocks that way. 3 blocks down, 3 blocks that way. So all the sides are actually the same. All right, so they basically are called square. Oh yeah, name the polygon that is shown on the grid. They are squares. Okay, because all the sides are the same. How many square units make up the area of the polygons? Okay, so we've got 1, and then this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so that's about the blocks, the little square units that make it up. Okay, and then it says to you, is there another way of calculating the area in each shape without counting the number of squares in each polygon? So yes, there is. How we're going to do that? We're going to take the length times the breadth. So it's 1 times 1 is 1, what did we do? Centimeters. Are these centimeters? Yeah, centimeters squared. And this one is 2 times 2, which is 4 centimeters squared. And this would be 3 times 3, which is 9 centimeters squared. Okay, and then I'll show you the formula. Oh, and then we answered these questions together. So if a square has a length of 8 centimeters, calculate the perimeter. So it's a square, right? So 4 times 8. And you get your answer in your perimeter. Area is 8 times 8. So you see the difference. With this one, we're going 4 times 8 because there are 4 sides that are the same. Whereas this one, the area is when we're taking 8 times 8. So we're timesing the 2 sides, the 2 lengths of the sides together. Okay, so that would be 64 centimeters squared. And then pretty much this one is a bit different. They're giving you the perimeter now. So they've given you the perimeter of the square, and that is 36. And then what they are doing is they're asking you for the length. So 36 divided by 4 is going to give you the length of each side. Then you're going to calculate the area from that length that you found out. We basically did these. And what else did we do? I think I left all that. We did these questions as well. How many square units make up this block? So we actually counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, so what is the other way that we can find it out? Instead of counting all those blocks, we can actually go and count 1, 2, 3, 4. So the breadth is 4 centimeters or blocks or whatever. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got 6 length. Okay. So the length is 6 and the height or the breadth is 4. What is the product of the length of the breadth? So product means the answer to the multiplication sum. So that means if we take 6 and multiply it by 4, that will give us the product. Okay, so that's the answer to a multiplication sum. basically what will happen now is we're going to go 6 times 4, and that's going to give us 24 centimeters squared. Looking at the answer in A and C, can you see that the product of the so that is how you get basically the area formula from there. And it is basically proving that if we multiply them together, you will get the same answer as what you got in the first question, where we actually counted the amount of blocks. So yeah, and I think that is it. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to stop this video right here, because what we did is we started with this not the next day, but a while later, because this is basically just explaining. What I did though is I asked them to take this page with basically the whole explanation of how you get the area formula for a triangle. So this is basically just describing to you how do you get the formula for the area of a triangle. I told them to write that down in their books for me. So this is basically a step-by-step way to show you how to draw it. And then it explains to you how you get the answer, which I will explain in the next video. And then after that, so this they wrote down, and for me, I printed this out for them so they can paste it in the books so that you can know the difference between these types of triangles. And I went over that. And the area formula, I told them to stick at the back of their books. So I printed it out and put it at the back of the book with the perimeter formula. Okay, so that's basically what we went through. Just a quick run through. The area of a square is length times length, mainly because the lengths are exactly the same. So then you can say, instead of length times length, you can actually say length squared. Okay. Length times breadth is what we covered with the rectangle. So because it is different lengths, we multiply them together. And with a triangle, it's a bit different, which is what is explained here on why it is different. And basically the area of the triangle is, the formula of it is coming from a rectangle. Okay, and that's where you get the half. So the half is actually when you cut the rectangle in half to create two triangles, right angle triangles. And then you multiply it by the area of a rectangle, and that's how you get the answer. You can read it through and see how it makes sense to you. If not, it's not very important to know how it is used, but it is something that will help you for later on why it is used that way. But anyways, I hope you guys have a great week further, and I will actually make another video after this, so I don't know why I said that. Anywho, okay, cheers, bye.